Well, we've come now to our final message in our series on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John. And 1st John was a test of fellowship for those that are walking in fellowship with Jesus. 2nd John is a warning for believers to watch out for false teachers among them. But 3rd John focuses on generosity and hospitality. John writes to his good friend Gaius, commending Gaius for his sincere faith in Jesus, and then he points out his generosity. But not everyone has a generous spirit. In 3rd John, we see a few examples of godly generosity, but we also see a really selfish spirit that refuses to give generously. 3rd John is a really short book, 14 verses in total. But 3rd John has much to teach us about generosity. Main scripture is 3rd John chapter 1, verses 1 through 10. And the big idea is this: Christians should be generous. Your generosity says a lot about your depth. We're going to take a look at 3 characters represented in 3rd John. Each person has something to teach us about generosity or a lack thereof. Our first character is John the Developer. John the Developer. Generosity isn't only a financial matter. For John, he makes a generous spiritual development into younger Christians that he is developing spiritually. He's discipling these people. Listen to what John says in verse 4. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. John's greatest joy is seeing his friends and mentees of the faith sincerely follow Jesus. John's example and statement should cause us to ask, what is my greatest joy? Our second character is Gaius the Dependable. John commends this lay member of the church for his generous support of the traveling missionaries. He opened his home. He gave of his resources to support God's work through these missionaries. Gaius teaches us to open our homes and release our resources to be used for God's work. Our third character is Diotrephes the dictator. Diotrephes was a troublemaker. He was an influential leader in the church, and he actually used his influence to keep church people from supporting these missionaries that were sent out by John. John says this of Diotrephes: he loves to be first, which means he loves to be in control. He loves to hear his own voice. Diotrephes puts himself at the center. And fundamentally, we're reminded that any spirit of generosity that puts me at the center is not Christian generosity. Church, let's lead the way in generosity like John and Gaius, leveraging our resources and our influence to build God's kingdom instead of our own. You can check out the full message at connectbillings.com/watch.